everybody, and thank you, Sabina. Yes, goat ankles, greatest of all time, but also literally goat ankles. So the reason I called it that was a long time ago, I went to a yoga session with a teacher called Donna Holloman, and she said that she'd observed actors, including Errol Flynn and Douglas Fairbanks in old films, and they had goat ankles. They had the ankles of a mountain goat. And so she was interested in the kind of animal connections. And so today what we're going to be doing is trying to get some kind of goat ankles, some very, very mobile and nimble and really kind of delicately calibrated ankles. So we're going to be looking at this particular area here, so where we articulate the shin bone with the foot and the area just beneath here, this sort of mid area. So this part of the foot here can often become a little bit stiff and unresponsive. It's the way we move and use shoes and things don't help. And so I'm going to offer you some things that maybe will make your ankles feel a little bit greatest of all time. So we're going to start off standing. You need enough room to just move your hands around. Give me a shout if it's difficult to see, but hopefully you can see all of me. Okay, so what we're going to do is have a wide-ish foot base, and you're just going to move from side to side. That's it. It's very simple. And as you move from side to side, it's gentle, and you can let your arms swing as you go, and you could have a little bit of rotation. So you're moving very softly from side to side, and you can feel that that kind of pulls your foot with you. So you get this movement gently swaying, and the heel is leaving the floor 1 foot at a time. And then you can take that into a slightly stronger movement by pushing a bit with the foot. So you're really giving some impetus to the movement with your foot. I push and push and push and push and push and push. And as I'm pushing, I'm getting more and more kind of a response in my arms. So my upper body and my spine are swinging a little bit more. And then I'm going to imagine that rather than pushing from my feet, I'm pushing from my hips. So I'm going to push from the pelvis, and I'm swinging and swinging and swinging and swinging. And I'm keeping the movement going, but I'm imagining it coming from higher up now in the ribs. So I'm swinging from the ribs, one side to the other. And in fact, I'm looking straight to you for the camera, but you could also turn your head so you're looking behind you. And then imagine that the movement is coming from your hands. So you're swinging with your hands from side to side, and the hands are leading the movement. And then take your attention all the way back to your feet and push with your feet again. And sometimes the feet now feel kind of far away and difficult to contact. So you need a little time to adjust. I come back to my feet. Feet, feet, feet. Pushing, pushing. And we do 2 more. 1, 2, and rest. So then in this parallel position, try to pick up all your toes and splay them out. Put them down on the floor. And then give your knees a little bend and let the weight travel through the ball of your foot so that your toes have a little weight. Lengthen your legs and then do the same again. Pick up your toes, splay them out, put them down on the floor, Bend your knees and then lengthen your legs. Once again, lift up the toes, splay them out, place them down on the floor, bend your knees, let the weight really transfer into the ball of the foot, and then lengthen your legs. So we're going to do a little forward bend. I've got a little stack of blocks here, which you could use a chair or a footstool or anything else you have if it's difficult to reach the floor. So you're going to take a forward bend with that parallel foot stance, and you're beginning it by reaching your arms overhead. So you're long in your body. Then you're going to bend your knees and you're feeling those ankles sink. And the ankle itself is almost melting. So you're soft in the front of the ankle. Then you're going to take that forward, and then you can place your hands on whatever you've got, a chair, a footstool, or maybe all the way to the floor. And you're letting your head hang. So we have a moment where we're really resting here. And this part of the back can be long, and the backs of the legs can be long, and the sit bones can be high. And your feet, if you imagine your feet as if you were wearing skis, so you've got very, very long feet in your imagination. They reach back and they reach forward, and they're really, really easy to balance on because they're so long. So your head is soft and heavy, and you've got these long ski-like feet. Your sit bones are rising up towards the ceiling, and your upper body is resting down. You're going to inhale and raise your eye line and look up. And as you exhale, sink again, settling your head and relaxing your neck. Inhale, raise your eye line and look up. Exhale, sink, and allow yourself to relax the back of the neck and the head. And inhale and come up one more time, and this time open your arms and reach up. You're sending your knees forward a little bit so that you sink into those ankles again, and then you have long legs and you're looking up, lowering your arms and bringing them back by your side. So just take that whole thing one more time. You reach up, you come forward, you find your hands on a support or the floor, you let your head sink, and you're imagining these long, long feet like skis, settling your head, raising your head and your chest as you inhale, sinking as you exhale, raising as you inhale, sinking as you exhale, and then coming all the way up. And you've got that moment when you're really in the front of your feet, in that knee bend, in that soft ankle at the front, and then lifting up and lowering the arms back by your sides. So we want to try and get a little bit more movement in that foot and ankle. We're going to come down to the floor to do that. I'm just going to move this camera a little bit. So if you can come into, you again here, handy to have something like a block or a paperback book or something that you could raise your head on if you've got it available. And your toes tuck underneath you. So it can be a little bit uncomfortable in your toes, and you can come out of the position if you need to at any stage. So you're going to tuck your toes and sit back with your hips over your heels. You go as far as you can. It may be that this is enough right here. It may be you can go a bit further. It may be you can bring your head onto the support and reach your arms out in front. So this is going to look something like this, or possibly a bit more like this. according to what your foot and your ankle can cope with. So here you're stretching the plantar fascia in the sole of the foot. You're asking your toe to do a really strong lengthening through here, through the big toe. And then this arm position is really helping you breathe and open the thoracic spine, expand into your upper body, and lengthen the whole back surface of the body. So you want this feeling that you're kind of lengthening yourself out. If it feels too intense, you come out of it, you give your toes a little wobble, and you go back when you can. So you're in that long body, reaching away, breathing easily, and then slowly walking your hands back up towards your feet. So as you come back, you can come into a little squat position like this, if it's possible. If your knees don't like it, you could be higher up like this. And if you've got a block available or something similar, you could put the block under your heels so that that gives you a little bit of support and help to be in this position. So it's a bit easier if you've got a bit of height there. And in that position, you could hold onto your knees with your hands, rotate them gently in towards you and fold up. So you're really in a curled position there. And you're breathing into this back area, opening the back of the pelvis, opening the back of the rib cage a little bit. And then you're going to come back onto the floor with your knees. You're going to keep your knees as close to your toes as you possibly can. So you put your hands on the floor and now you're going to lower your knees and you're trying to keep them close to your toes as far back as possible. So I don't reach out this way. I'm going to go straight down this way. So that's strong opening through the sole of the foot once again. I can walk my hands forward. And then this is the famous downward facing dog position of Hatha Yoga, which you might have seen before. So you're going to lift the hips up high and push the hands into the floor. So in that position, if it's possible, the hands are wide and flat. They're about your shoulder width apart. Your knees can be really bent and your heels can be way off the floor, but you want the feeling that as you look back, now you can see your ankles and you want to see if you can get the two ankles to be doing exactly the same thing. So do they look the same to you from here? So you can have a little wiggle around, change the position, check it out. Breathing easily, long through your upper body and looking at those ankles. If your toes have gone white and are gripping the floor, try to relax them and open the lower part of your foot. So you're opening the ball of the foot into the floor. Imagine you can touch into the floor really deeply. Then you're going to lower the knees back down. And we're going to do that little set of movements once again. So either with or without the block behind you, you come into a little squat. You hold onto your knees and you round your back. Then you're going to put your knees on the floor close to your toes. Then you're going to walk them out and find your little downward facing dog position. And this position is often done in such a way that you feel that you have to have straight legs, but in fact here it's very helpful for the knees to be bent and the heels to be high, and you're just looking at the way that you're using your feet so you can see the shape of the foot. It's really visible to you in this position, and you can adjust. Can I make my toes softer and wider? Can I land more easily in the floor? Can I find that midfoot area just beneath the ankle? Can I get that to be kind of spacious? And then I'm letting my knees drop back down. And this time, come into a lunging position like this. So we're going to hold the ankle with the hand, and you're going to run your hand down the front of your ankle and let it sink into the foot. So you run your hand down and you let it sink into the foot. Do it one more time. So we're interested in changing something a little bit about the fascia in this area of the ankle. So there's a kind of encouragement for a little more proprioception, a little more attention in this area. And you couldn't get this wrong. So it's not like a manipulation. You're literally just bringing some attention to that area. Okay, so you did that. Then go back to the downward facing dog and see if that ankle feels a little bit different to the other one. So on me, just with a few movements like that, my heel comes a little closer to the floor and the ankle bends a little more easily, just with those few movements. So that's so good. I'm going to do it again on the other side. So it shouldn't work, should it? It's so simple. You basically just running your hand down over your ankle and sinking into the foot a little bit. And as you go, your whole system starts to go, oh yeah, look, I've got an ankle, I've got a navicular bone, I've got a talus, I've got a heel here, and I can start to feel, oh yeah, all these different bits. So just a few small movements like that. And then I come back to my down dog and I see, how does it feel now? Maybe I've got a bit more space. And as I'm looking at those ankles, maybe they look or feel slightly different. And I organize them more comfortably or easily. And then I'm going to let the knees drop back to the floor. And we're going to do one more kind of movement like that, which is a little bit to clarify that movement in the ankle. So I'm going to use a block, but if you haven't got one, you can use anything else. You can use a cushion, a folded blanket, a rolled up bit of your mat. So, you know, I might be using this. I might be using the mat rolled up like this, would help. Any objects you have that you can stand on will work. So you're going to come onto your object and you're going to place your feet with the heels on and the toes off. So now I'm looking down and I can see from up here how my ankles look. So on my body, this one wants to go out to this way and this one wants to go more this way. And you might have both go this way or both go this way. So you're trying to sort of find a medium point. Your feet are about an inch apart at the big toes, something like that. And in that position, you're going to allow yourself again to bend your knees. I'm going to just turn around so you're seeing it from this side. So I'm going to bend my knees. When I bend my knees, I want my weight to travel down, straight down into the ball of my foot. And then I'm going to push my pelvis backwards a little bit. And then I'm going to either lift my arms overhead, that would be quite strong, hard work to do, or I can keep it as a smaller movement. Whoops, sorry. I can keep it as a slightly smaller movement. So I could be here, or I could have my hands on my head or my hands on my hips. And as I'm in that position, I can feel, is my knees going out or in? And is my ankle, is my foot collapsing out or in? So I'm not trying to get this in the correct position. I'm just trying to feel all the possible variations. Could be out here, could be in here. Could be out here, could be in here. It's like a little dance. Okay, then I'm going to come all the way back up to standing, stretch my legs, release my arms, do the same thing again. I sink down, I reach out, hips are going back, and lifting my arms overhead. And I'm looking for, do I do this? I mean, like nobody does this that much, but you might feel I'm tending this way a bit. I'm rolling more towards the little toe edge of my foot. Or am I rolling more towards the big toe edge of my foot? Or am I doing one way and one the other way? And I can just feel, I could make a little adjustment. And then I come back up to standing. And I let my arms release. And then I'm going to step off the block and let my eyes look a little way out into the distance so that I have a moment to readjust my vestibular system. And then I'm going to do the same thing again, but the other way round. So this is much harder because you have less available movement at the ankle. So you're going to have your toes on the block and your heels off. And in that position, you're going to do exactly the same little movement. So your toes are on, your heels are off. Your feet are about an inch apart. You're going to sink your knees, but the minute you get there, boof, that's it. That's the full range of motion you have. The ankle is really, really fixed now. There's no wriggle room. You can feel again that you can push your pelvis backwards a little bit. Let the weight transfer down into the feet. And now you want to feel, can I go a little bit this way, a little bit that way, a little bit outwards, a little bit inwards? I'm exaggerating the amount you're doing this. You're making a tiny, tiny little adjustment. So really small and feeling, as you can see your feet, you can see, are they symmetrical here, or is one doing one thing and one doing another thing? What am I seeing there? I could raise my arms overhead and reach out. I could lift my eye line and look up, and then I could come all the way to standing, long in my body, letting my arms release. And do it once again. So I sink the knees, and there is a real limit to how much I can bend my ankle here. It feels quite strong, and I'm really in the sensation of, can I very, very slightly adjust that? Is there something that needs to happen? Then I can come down through here, and it might be clear to me, oh, I've got one hip hitched up, or one leg feels different from the other. I can see how I can move it. Again, I'm not looking for the correct position. I'm just feeling my way between all the options that I might have available to me, some of which I might use a lot and others hardly ever. I'm reaching my arms out, I'm looking up, and then I'm coming all the way back up to standing and releasing my arms and stepping off the block and just letting my eye look out into the distance for a moment. So you can feel slightly dizzy after you do that for a moment. Okay, great. So then let's take ourselves back once again to that downward facing dog and check it out. How is it now? If I go back here, can I feel those long legs and the heels sinking into the floor? Maybe it feels a little bit easier to do that shape. Maybe I've got a little bit more space in the backs of my legs. And what's interesting about that is I didn't really stretch the backs of my legs to get it. I just moved around in the front of my ankle. If you bring yourself back up to standing, we're just going to complete our session going back to the thing we started with. So we're going to be taking a few movements in this little twisty thing. And this is like a nice recalibration for the whole thing. So your system can go, okay, I think I've got slightly different ankles to the ones I started with. I'm moving gently from side to side. I'm pushing with my feet. I'm pressing away. Yeah. I'm pushing with one foot and the other. Yeah. I'm letting the movement come all the way from the foot to the hands and the top of my head. And I do two more. 1, 2, and rest. So now if you bring your feet to parallel and they're a bit wider than your hip width apart, you could just take a little tiny moment to feel how your feet feel. So you're looking for a sensation that these bones in this midfoot area are kind of both anchoring comfortably towards the floor, so they can both kind of sit down into the floor. If they feel like they're really hinged off the floor, you want to see if you can find a more stable base. So in that position, you're going to just send the hips across to one side and keep that feeling like your ankles can sustain a connection to the floor even when you push your hips like this. So it might feel like you want to go this way, okay? And you want to see if you can find your whole foot on the floor. Big toe, little toe, outer heel, inner heel, ankle poised on top, hip, 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 hip. And this is a bit subtle, but it feels really interesting. You'll notice that if something is a little bit out of kilter lower down, then it's often magnified in the pelvis, so you see it more in the pelvis. So if my foot won't move so much, maybe my pelvis will take a spiral. So you're trying to keep everything just moving lateral, one way, other way, with the ankles right on top. Beautiful.